How do you walk into a building as important as a Yale University's research center, and never walk out? Annie Lay, second-year grad student at Yale, she's missing. And the last place she was seen? Here. In this lab. Annie Lay works in the Bennett lab. It's an 8-person lab run by Professor Anton Bennett, associate professor of pharmacology at Yale University. It's 5 stories tall above ground and 120,000 square feet, but you would never really know that just by looking at it, walking past it, that there are millions, if not potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of life-changing, world-altering research being funded and carried out inside those walls. Confidential research being done inside for different powerful organizations around the world. That's all done inside that building. This building is armed with 74 CCTV cameras that monitor every single doorway. Every single exit and entry is captured on camera. There is nobody entering this building that is unauthorized. There's even footage of Annie from September 8th walking in through the doors at 10 a.m. and there is no footage of her ever walking out. One investigator said, "You do not get in or out without being captured on camera." And people do not simply vanish. 750 hours of footage, CCTV footage. That's how many hours that they had to go through, the authorities. Because there was, of course, the possibility, because Annie is super petite, she's about 4'11", 90 pounds, maybe she walked out the building behind somebody and the cameras didn't catch it clearly. She was hidden amongst the shadows. You just had to look a little bit closer and then you would see it. Oh, there she is in her green shirt, brown skirt, and she's walking out the building. But that's not a possibility. Not anymore. Not after they combed through 750 hours of footage. I mean, this was basically a sealed box that you cannot get out of without someone seeing you. And they were now 1,000% certain that she did not leave the building unless... Have you heard of the story of Petra Pazitska?
No.
24-year-old woman studying computer science, and she had just finished writing her university thesis on computer languages. So very, very intelligent woman. She vanishes. Missing persons report turns into a murder inquiry. Nothing. Case goes cold. Few years later, a serial killer admits to killing Petra and claims that Petra was one of his victims. Petra is found 33 years later, very much alive. She never spoke about why she chose to walk out one day of her life and leave forever. She left with no identity. She was only working cash-paying jobs that paid under the table for 33 years, and she did not get caught.
Like Gone Girl type of?
Gone Girl.
Wow.
I mean, she didn't stage blood and try to set someone up for it, but she just walked out of her life and never came back. And I'm sure the thought did cross the investigators' minds. If anybody is going to fake their disappearance and get away with it, it's going to be a genius Yale graduate student. Annie's disappearance defies logic. Even the vice president of Yale stated that Annie's vanishing is the most perplexing mystery. None of it makes sense. Not a single theory works. Until one night, FBI Special Agent James Lawton, who was assigned to this case, he went home to wash up, get a fresh change of clothes. He's finished eating dinner and he's sitting there just taking a breath for a second, just resting before he has to get back up and back out to the lab. He's sitting there and he's watching his little daughter doing these handsprings in the kitchen floor, and she keeps asking him, like, "Daddy, can you watch me?" And she's jumping around, basically parkour. At first, Special Agent Lawton is smiling. You know, he's enjoying his time with his family. "Wait, can you lay down for a second?" He instructs his daughter to lay on the floor. He doesn't tell her why. He doesn't tell the rest of the family why either. He just silently walks over, picks up his daughter, throws her over his shoulder, and walks out the kitchen. Oh my God. He knows where Annie Lay is. The police are searching through 3,000 tons of trash looking for Annie Lay. The FBI agent realized that night after dinner, his daughter is the same height and size as Annie. 4'11", 90 pounds. Someone could have dragged her out. She's that petite. But yes, they checked the footage. Nobody was forcibly dragging anybody out of the building. It would have been caught on camera. Then they thought someone could have carried her out, but there was nobody leaving the lab with any suspicious looking suitcase or box that was enough to fit someone of that size. So maybe, just maybe, the only thing that had been going out of this building at this time...
Trash chute?
The trash. The trash, 90-pound trash bags from a research lab, that is not the most alarming thing. And if that's the case, her body was going to get incinerated, so they need to keep searching. They finish searching through the trash and they find nothing. So they end up right back at the building, right back at the footage, right back over analyzing the day that Annie disappeared. The million-dollar question since the day she went missing is, where is she? She disappeared in a multi-million-dollar lab building with a multi-million-dollar ventilation system, several floors, several rooms, several locations. Where is she? In this one building, you have some of the world's leading scientists. I mean, the ones that are likely going to change the trajectory of modern medicine and how humans perceive and feel diseases. You have some of the world's brightest minds on campus, where students at Yale have an average IQ of around 125. In that specific building, you had the leads, the head investigators from New Haven Police Department, Connecticut State Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and all of this would come down to Max. Max is going to be the one to find Annie Lay. Max is a 90-pound German Shepherd, and Max is only trained to react to one thing: human remains. Past this bright blue door and into one of the metal door stalls, Max is like dragging them. They're following him, and then he just stops. He sits inside the middle of a bathroom stall. The investigators are looking at Max. I mean, his bottom is touching the ground. He's sitting. That's his signal. He's sitting and he's staring. But it doesn't make any sense. They look at Max and they look at what he's signaling at. He's staring directly at the wall. It's like kind of blends into the wall. It's almost the size of a computer screen. Like your laptop screen, maybe 8 to 10 inches wide at most. It's tiny. The officers carefully unlatch and open the door. And in between the water pipes, the yellow insulation foam, was the body of a brilliant Yale graduate student. There's even footage of Annie from September 8th walking in through the doors at 10 a.m., and there is no footage of her ever walking out. One investigator said, "You do not get in or out without being captured on camera, and people do not simply vanish." So if she's caught on camera walking in the morning, there's no signs of her. They looked that building up and down, every hallway, every bathroom, every corner. She's not in the building, and there's no footage of her walking out. Then where is she? 2 days after Annie went missing, a lab tech actually walked up to an investigator and started making small talk with them. "Are you guys looking for Annie?" "Oh yeah, I knew Annie. I actually saw her yesterday." Yeah. She left the building during the fire drill. I don't know if she left, but I saw her grab her things, her notebook, a big bag of mouse food, and walked out with everyone. I don't know where she was going with that mouse food though. The lab tech that told the police that, his name is Raymond Clark, fellow Yale lab tech. Raymond has been working at Yale for the past 5 years. In the morning, he's seen on the camera walking in wearing blue scrubs. Well, I have him here and he's not wearing blue scrubs. He's wearing blue pants and a white long sleeve scrub top. No, well, I see him here on the CCTV footage and he's wearing jeans and a dark colored shirt. What is going on here? Why would a lab tech need to change so many times throughout the day? There was also footage of Raymond Clark leaving the building twice that day. Once during the fire drill with everybody else, and the second time he walks to a nearby park, and the officers are actually able to trace him from the building to the park through all of the exterior CCTV cameras, and he sits down at the small park entrance steps. He pulls his knees up to his chest. He puts his hands up to his face, and it looks like he's about to have a panic attack. The detectives looked at the footage, and they looked at each other, and they looked at the footage, and a detective said, "You know what that looks like? That looks like someone who's thinking, what did I just do?" It was clear that Raymond Clark had something to hide. 2 days after Annie went missing, a lab tech actually walked up to an investigator and started making small talk with them. "Are you guys looking for Annie?" "Oh yeah, I knew Annie. I actually saw her yesterday." Yeah. She left the building during the fire drill. I don't know if she left, but I saw her grab her things, her notebook, a big bag of mouse food, and walked out with everyone. I don't know where she was going with that mouse food though. The lab tech that told the police that, his name is Raymond Clark, fellow Yale lab tech. Raymond has been working at Yale for the past 5 years. Looks wise, everyone said Raymond looked so meek that he looked like he couldn't even hurt a mouse. Some said if you passed him in the hallways, he would prefer to look at the floor rather than look at you. He just seemed very passive, almost. So why would this passive guy lie about seeing Annie leaving during the fire alarm when it was absolutely certain that she was dead before the fire alarm even went off? Raymond Clark's DNA and his bodily fluids were found on Annie's panty liner, but additionally, a stain matching his DNA was also found on the lab wall, a semen stain. It was also found on a blue pair of scrub scrub pants found in the laundry bag that was a match to him, a yellow lab coat that he was seen wearing that was later discovered to have blood on it, which was Annie's blood, and Raymond's DNA was found on the green pen inside the basement wall underneath Annie's body. Thursday, September 17th, FBI agents surround a motel building. They storm up to room 214 and arrest Raymond Clark. There were, I guess, people who had seen the commotion and they were waiting to see what was going on, and they knew what Raymond was being arrested for. This was news everywhere nationwide. People burst into applause. At one point, someone recorded him being pushed into a cop car and said, "Hey, big man, enjoy jail." Natalie was Annie's roommate that initially reported her missing, and she said, "Raymond Clark is a monster. He killed my roommate. He left her in a wall. How am I supposed to feel? I feel sick. I don't care what happens to him at this point as long as he can no longer hurt anyone else." And at first, people thought that's what was going to happen. At first, Raymond Clark was facing 120 years in prison. But he later entered into a plea deal for just 44 years. That's it.